Let's see. Cool. Thanks, guys. Thanks a bunch again. So what I wanted to do was prototype what having office hours would be like. So one of the things we want to try is basically having a regular online hangout where we can help people build things if they come with questions, or we'll guide people through projects. So today, what I was thinking we could all do is build an academic publication page that is driven by a spreadsheet. You can do it all on the site, on the Cloudstitch site, and use it just as a playground. And then if you like it, you can copy and paste that HTML onto your own site. But there's no need to do that. You can just leave it as an experiment in that playground. So I'm going to share my screen and kind of talk you through it, but interrupt me or kind of ask any questions as I go through it. But I was thinking the way that it might work best, since this is kind of a guided project, is for me to just kind of sort of use my screen as the follow the lead and explain what we're doing as we go along. So let me share the screen. Entire screen. Share. Whoa. Okay.
Cool.
All right. Do you see? Do you all see the web development for makers?
Yes.
Thing? Awesome. Okay. So the first thing that you will need to do is go to cloudstitch.io and sign up for an account if you haven't already signed up for an account. So it's gonna ask you for a code, since we're trying to control the growth of the users right now, and you can use the code friend of Ted, all lowercase. It's funny, I can't switch back to see what you guys are doing without telescoping the Hangouts window.
That might be okay, since all you see is our face anyways.
Yeah.
Are you going to do anything bad with our spreadsheets? Like download all the grades for the class MTA?
No. One thing we're working on, you're talking about access to the whole Google Drive.
Yes, that's right.
Spreadsheet. Yeah, we're working on, that's one of those things where, unfortunately, the way to do it quickly is the ask access to everything way, and then it's a challenge. The challenge is we want to be able to create spreadsheets for people, and you need to have access to all of Drive to create a new spreadsheet.
That's weird.
So,
yeah. Okay.
We're working on it. We would prefer a much finer grained access model. So you can unlink it. I'll show you how to unlink it if you do feel uncomfortable at the end of the.
Should I click on spreadsheet powered content when it says what kind?
Yeah. Okay. So the next thing is create an app. And can you all see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So create an app and just name it something like publications, and use the spreadsheet powered content template, which is the one that's selected to start, and click create. And when you click that, it's going to plug and chug for a little bit. It's going to create you a new spreadsheet in your Google Drive, and it's going to build you out a playground with an HTML file and a CSS file and a JavaScript file to act as your sandbox to play around with.
I get an error saying, sorry, we could not load the app. Should I try again?
Yeah, that's interesting. This will be an interesting experiment of lots of people trying to use the worker cluster simultaneously.
Maybe we should share our screens instead of our faces.
Yeah, Nant, if you share your screen, I can take a look.
Yeah. So I'm trying to now redo again. So I want to share screen.
So Eugene's appears to have worked.
Okay. My screen.
Okay. All right. So click create on that. I'm looking at yours right now.
Yeah, it's doing something. Oh, now it's working. Pretty good.
Huh. Okay. My guess is this is like a. Okay. This is probably an issue related to lots of people using it at once, which is good to know. Okay, so now the two things you're going to have to do are create a spreadsheet and design some HTML. So let's create our spreadsheets first. So if you click on that data tab on the left, and then just click on the Open in G Sheets link that you see, you're just going to see it open up to Google Spreadsheets. And the first thing I'm going to do is pull down one of the header bars.
What did you say you clicked to get there?
I clicked on the Data tab. So on the left hand, on the sidebar on the left, there's a Data tab. And then you should see the spreadsheet that Cloudstitch created for you, and you can click Open in G Sheets.
Okay.
And so whatever I know everybody's publication list looks a little bit different. Whatever you feel like is, the things that you want to put on there. So I'm just going to put title, authors, PDF, link, and maybe conference as mine. But
and it's possible I'm overcomplicating things, but
yeah.
If we want to have some kind of optional field for stuff like, code from experiments or whatever other, like slides or something like that.
Sure.
Is there some good way to do that?
Yeah, there is. And I'll show you how to do that. The bigger challenge that we're still working through right now is things like what happens if you want to parameterize, like have your author list be structured so each author has a URL that's optional. So that is a little bit past what we figured out how to do cleanly in the spreadsheet right now. But the code for experiments, I can do that. So why don't, I'll add those two, and I'll show you how to conditionally show those.
Okay.
Hey, what's tabletop.js?
Tabletop is a library that is huge in the journalism community. It lets you suck a Google spreadsheet feed. If you publish a spreadsheet to the web as an XML feed or a JSON feed, it lets you kind of consume that feed and then exposes it as a JavaScript object. So it's a really popular library to power lightweight visualizations and websites using a Google spreadsheet. But the challenge with Tabletop, and this is where we're kind of stepping in, is that it doesn't scale. The Google Spreadsheets API wasn't designed to serve production websites, and it doesn't allow you to write things back to the website, and it doesn't allow you to very easily customize kind of clicking copy or fork or clone. So we're wrapping that in and supporting it so that you can publish your Tabletop apps and just clone them in Cloudstitch, and we'll offer it at production speed.
It does somehow let you write back into the spreadsheet, but maybe you're thinking not from end users, or
well, Tabletop doesn't. The problem is Google Spreadsheets requires you to. There's a whole bunch of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, it comes down to a cores problem essentially. All right, so I'm going to add just two different fake papers in here. I don't know, Cloudstitch had. And I'm not going to put any code or slides for the Cloudstitch one, Adam, so that we can see how to do those conditionals. And then I'll do another one, Turk moving Adam. No.
Adam is now defined as the Turk person. Okay, so this is just dummy data, but hopefully we'll give you the flavor of how you might go about doing this. So the next thing I'm going to do is go down into the interface tab, and I'm going to click on, there's a little rocker that lets you expand that interface tab. So I'm going to expand that, and this is just a playground, this index.html, scripts.js, styles.css. This is just a playground for you to experiment with writing and checking your code on the Cloudstitch site, and then you can copy and paste whatever it was you build onto your site if you'd like to kind of take that to your own production site. So I'm going to delete what I have in there, and Command S or Alt S or whatever the Windows equivalent is should work in here as you save. And I'm going to hit View just to have a tab open that shows me what this HTML page is. So this is the part where I need to do two things. So the first thing I need to do is link this HTML page to the spreadsheet. And there's actually a button right up at the top to do that for me. So I'm just going to click that button, and then I'm going to save it.
And that added two new bits to the page. One was a JavaScript library. One was a link to that particular spreadsheet in my project.
Wait, can you do that again? Where did you get that?
This link to spreadsheets button up at the top.
Link to spreadsheets, but
Yeah. Let me switch over and look at your screen.
Okay.
It's in your editor, like above the HTML.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
It's in there. Yeah.
Whoa, I can keep doing. Okay.
It's not exactly
Cool.
AI complete. All right. So next, I'll just make essentially a dummy, my papers structure in HTML, and obviously this would be styled a little bit differently on your site. So Cloudstitch uses regular HTML to connect to the spreadsheet with a couple of extra attributes. So one of those is rows. So if I say, for example, ul connect equals rows, like that, this is going to repeat the contents of that UL once per row in the spreadsheet. And there's ways to address different worksheets and different spreadsheets, but since we just have one, we can just keep it simple and say connect equals rows. So if I type that and I refresh this page, I'm going to see two LI elements, a paper, one for each row in that spreadsheet that we created.
Wait.
Let me, you know what, I'm going to rip off this tab and put it over here.
How do you see the web page?
If you click on View, look at the top of your editor, and there's a button that says View. And if you click on that button, then you'll see the web page.
Yeah, it says, yeah, perfect.
I ran into one small gotcha. It's good design, but I had to save. I had to whatever command save or control save, and then I could view the changes.
Good point. Yeah, the editor requires you to save. It doesn't save with each keystroke yet. Yeah, and you can either save with command save, control save, or you can click the save button at the top. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is start to connect things inside this repeated element. So I might want to put the title. So I could say H3 or H4 connect equals, and in this case, to reference the title, we're going to say call and then title. And I'm going to call it title because I'm going to rip this off so we can see the spreadsheet.
Hey, I only have one paper title.
One paper title.
Oh, does it have to be UL? I have OL here.
It doesn't have to be a UL. Let me save this and go back and look at yours. Let's see, Eugene.
The syntax highlighting is a little off.
Connect
don't look
equals
right.
rows. Li class equals paper. So how many, Eugene, in your spreadsheet, how many papers did you put in there?
Yeah, 2.
You put in 2?
I
Okay,
think.
that's interesting. And go back to your editor.
Okay, my editor.
Yeah, and let's see. Class equals paper. Okay. And save it.
Okay, saved it.
And then try viewing the link again.
So I just refresh, right?
Yeah. You didn't turn production mode on in the data sources tab, did you, by any chance?
No, I'm in
Oh,
development.
Okay. That's a little concerning.
Should I print the paper title to see which one's is printing?
Yeah, why don't you do that? And that's what I had already started to do. So if you just say connect equals call, and then this is case sensitive inside the parentheses. So I said title with a capital T.
And so what this does is it populates the inner HTML with,
That's right. Yeah.
With stuff. So I shouldn't have, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so mine printed nothing. So it's not connecting. That's what it means.
Yeah. Let's look at your console, your JavaScript console, really quick, just to see if there's something exploding.
Oh, like in the web page?
Yeah, I think it's what, Command Shift J.
spreadsheet received from server was not correct.
Huh. Okay, so there's something going on with the spreadsheet.
Well,
So
one of the things is that like some of my text is like colored.
Yeah, that shouldn't matter. It's fine if you do
Okay.
that.
And I have links.
So I
Yeah.
also have link, but I got everything working now.
Okay. So yours works.
Yeah.
That's great for you.
Okay. Tell you what, let's plow ahead. This is always like the challenge with like a group. Let's plow ahead, and Eugene, we can debug yours after that. That's
Okay.
my guess is it has something to do with the tokens to Google. But one other thing you could try, and this is what I was going to show everybody at the very end, so might as well try it now. So at the end, when you're done, you want this to be performant. You don't want the user to come and there to be like a 2 or 3 second lag before they see your papers, because that's what's going to happen with the Google API. That's just the way it's built. And so when you want to deploy this for real, you can click on the Data tab, and you can click Production. And now this is going to serve up a cached copy of your spreadsheet instead of the actual spreadsheet. And we'll refresh that cache when we get a notification from Google that it's changed. But to be honest, even those are flaky. Google doesn't always send them. And so you have this manual update now that you can click, and that will manually refresh the cache. So if I were to click the button, and I have to reload the page myself, but it'll tell you last updated a few seconds ago. So Eugene, if you want to kind of debug where the problem is, you could try switching it into production and hitting update now and then seeing if that update completed successfully. One catch is that if you change the spreadsheet after you do this and you're developing in real time, practically you're going to want to click that update now button. So I'm not going to change my spreadsheet, so I'm going to leave it in production mode, and it'll load a little bit faster over here when I refresh the page.
Okay.
Oh, put connect.
It says I can't connect.
Okay.
That's what.
Okay, we'll debug later. My guess is the token, something about the tokens to Google.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so the one other thing I want to show is, or the two other things are how to set href inside an A element, and then how to conditionally show something. And with just those 4 concepts, so looping through something, showing the contents of something, showing an href, and conditionally showing something, that's probably enough for most publication pages. So let's say I have a code for experiments link. So it might look something like code for experiments, and then a href.
Uh-oh.
Did Ted disappear?
Ted died.
Okay, Eugene is now Ted.
Well, if you guys look on my screen, what I'll be doing.
And I can just say call code for experiments. And so this is going to only show this div if there's something truthy in that call for experiment. Or sorry, not
Hey,
code
Ted,
for experiments call.
we lost your screen share.
The what?
We lost your screen share.
Oh, you lost it. Okay. Let me.
Just for like 10 seconds. You just need to repeat yourself.
Oh, okay. So the way in which you conditionally show something is the showIf attribute. So showIf works just like connect, except instead of replacing the insides of something, it hides or shows something. And so I can just wrap.
Can you share your screen, Ted?
Oh, I have to reshare it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And can you also like zoom in a little bit in the browser? Yeah, much better.
Second?
Much,
Okay.
much better. Uh-oh. Ted just died. I think. Oh, he's back.
Are we still watching his screen? No. Okay.
We are now.
There we go. Okay. There we go. All right. So okay, I'll start over with this thing. So the showIf attribute helps you hide or show an element, and I use it just like the connect attribute. Instead of showing what the contents of that column will be, it'll just toggle the visibility of something based on that column. So code for experiments was what I named that one column down here, code for experiments. And so I'm just going to say show if code for experiments. And so this entire blob right here is going to be conditional based on the truthiness of that column. If it's, if it's present, if it is present, things like true, yes, one will count as true, and everything else will count as false.
Can you also do compare it with some literal value like true or false?
Absolutely, yeah. So things like true and false, it'll just do automatically. But remember, this is a spreadsheet, and so if there is some kind of computation you want to do, you can create a column in the spreadsheet that does the more complex computation, and then you can just make the conditionality based off of that column.
Okay. My question is more like, what if the column had value yes, no? So can you do that comparison? If it is yes, then so, otherwise don't.
Yeah. So the final thing is how to do a attribute. So I can say connect-href, and that'll connect the href attribute rather than connecting the contents of this element. So I could say that call, and that's code for experiments. And then I'll save that. And that's it. So this is, I'll scroll up a little bit. So this is repetition. You connect to the rows. The title, you just say connect to a particular column. If you want to show something, you you say show if, and then you connect to the column. And if you want to connect to a particular attribute inside your HTML, you just suffix the connect attribute with a dash and then the attribute that you want to fill. And you can put multiple connects inside the same element. So if I were to reload the page now, I'm going to see the same list that I had before, except now there's no code for experiments here because I didn't fill that in the spreadsheet, and there's code for experiments here, and the URL is google.com, which is what I had typed into the spreadsheet.
That's awesome. And just to clarify, so I can make any element be any attribute be connected by just saying connect hyphen any attribute name.
That's right. Yeah. Right now, for full disclosure, since you all are programmer friends, it's hard coded that we only support kind of the expected ones like ID, class, source, href. But the second somebody complains that they can't connect to some bizarre attribute that is non-standard, we'll switch it out, and so that we can connect to anything. It's item number 1,000,001 on the low-hanging fruit list.
Yeah.
But yeah, the idea is that eventually that this connect anything will just address that attribute. So one final thing, just to kind of plant the seeds in your head of other ways you could use this. I'd love to. So two things to note. It's concerning that Eugene had a problem. If I were you, I'd be like, whoa, I'm not powering my publications page based on this. As a result of that. One of the nice things about this, though, is once the development thing is done, you can essentially turn on the caching, and at that point, our machines really aren't in the loop. You're working off of cached files and a static JavaScript, so you're kind of operating, if you want to, in static mode. So once it works, you can be confident that it works. And then the second thing is there's all sorts of other special attributes, like updating things based on clicks to change values in the spreadsheet, collecting data from forums, adding them to the spreadsheet. And then there's a jQuery-like UI that you can use. In fact, let me see if I can just show you a taste of the flavor, where you can start to do more complex things if you wanted to do fancy JavaScript. So cats is just like jQuery uses the $, we use cats, and you can say things like A:\A. Actually, I should say sheet. And that'll select a particular column, as for example. So column A started with title, and then Cloudstitch and took everything, or B:B was the second, or I could select just A1, which should be title. So we offer or B1 rather. So there's a jQuery-like API that's kind of monadic, that you can chain things together and do operations with the spreadsheet that lets you incorporate all sorts of crazy JavaScript into the mix as well.
And this modifies the spreadsheet. Is it reader?
This modifies the spreadsheet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ted, one more question. I have got everything working, but when I click on the link, it did not open the actual link. It opens a hash.
It opens the hash. So that probably means everything isn't working. So let's take a look.
In my case, it worked.
Okay, so
Anant, I'm going to switch over to your screen. Okay, connect-href call link. So that looks fine.
okay.
Yeah, that looks great. So let's look at your.
This is my HTML, which basically looks. But when you click,
Yeah.
it doesn't work.
Huh. Okay. Well, tell you what I'll do for both Eugene and Anant. Then I'll go in, since your projects are on Cloudstitch, I can actually go in and I'll follow up afterwards and figure out what's going on. It might be a caching thing. I'm not sure. It's a little bit strange that it would work in some cases and not others.
Well, mine is I cannot get Sarai/publication/datasource/sheet.
Yeah. So yours is, let's see, we could do it right now.
Yeah.
So what, Eugene, what's your, or here, let me Cloudstitch.
The password?
io/Sarais applications. Yeah, I think I will. I'll poke around and try to figure out what's different about your two projects, even though they seem to be the same afterwards. Just because debugging when it's all recording is probably that would result in a very long and boring video. So, but I'll follow up with both of you. I'll do that right away. Once we break and figure out what's going on.
Okay. So are you going to like take this recording and then like add cool music to it?
No.
And put it on YouTube.
No, I mean, I was as long as if it's okay with you, I'll put this on YouTube. If not, I'm happy to take it down too. So the idea was, I thought, hey, it'd be kind of cool because screencasts are cool, and all these people keep emailing to ask questions. If there was some sort of regular office hour-y type time where, I mean, you guys are all my friends, sort of humoring me, but eventually where I could tweet out and kind of email out or have it posted somewhere. If you ever have any questions, you're building something and you want, the support of somebody who could sit there and walk you through it, this hour to this hour every Thursday, you can log on, click on this link, and then it would just be recorded as sort of a form of documentation and posterity, so that it's not quite a podcast, but it would be a way to kind of go back and look at some form of documentation through conversation.
Cool.
Yeah. And, if it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. But it seemed like a cool idea. It also seemed like a great way. I mean, thinking forward to having, employees and developers and things like that, it seemed like a really great way to keep the technical side of Cloudstitch really in touch with the users. I mean, this is more of me trying to show you how to do something, but it's, I feel like the great conceit of folks like us who kind of spend all day thinking about programming is that we forget that a lot of problems aren't the same problems that we have. And so by not forcing, like if everybody who was a technical part of Cloudstitch held this kind of office hour, then it would kind of keep everybody grounded in like, here's the kinds of problems and desires and needs people actually have, rather than inventing all these crazy CS problems in our head, which is kind of it's like a pitfall that if you work by yourself without customer interaction, you fall into.
Yeah, it's like asking developers to do some support calls every
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah,
That's smart.
Exactly. Yeah. Cool, guys. Well, I appreciate, especially Eugene, since you're on the West Coast, everybody waking up to humor me and do this. So it was really helpful for me to kind of feel what this feels like. Eugene and Anant, I'll figure out what's going on with y'all's, and I'll send out a group email to everybody, and with what the problems and the fixes are.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Sounds good.
Sweet, thanks.
Awesome. See you guys.
Cool.
Yeah,
bye.